There came this point in my life when I was in college. I was raised Catholic, and it wasn't until college that I began to fall in love with my faith, with the church, and that was the hands of Mary, but teaching me the truth of her Son and of His presence in the sacraments. But there came this point in my life where, with the Eucharist, where I was like, if that's really true, if it's not just this nice symbol, but if it really is Him, if it's really His body and His blood that we receive at Mass. I remember when I was a freshman at Notre Dame, I was on a retreat, and I remember it was a silent retreat. It was like the first time I prayed like the rosary all the way through, I think. And I remember thinking, then I don't need anything else. I remember even thinking, I wouldn't need to eat, because if that was really Him, like the God of the universe, then that would be all I needed, that's it. And then then I began to beg God for that gift of faith. I was like, but I don't really believe, because if I really believed that it was Him, then that would change everything. Everything in my life would change around that. I started to have the desire to go to daily Mass. I began to go to daily Mass to receive His presence in the Eucharist every day. And all the while I was just begging Him, Lord, help me believe. If this is true, help me to know that this is true. I want to believe. I don't want to just say I sort of believe, I want to know, because this is not a little thing. And so about 3 years later, and I started, I was just pulled to daily Mass every day. I began to this was in 2000, I began to just couldn't live without it, I was totally addicted. And to His presence there in the Eucharist. And finally there came a point where I realized that He had given me that gift of faith. I knew it was true. It was Him. It was His body and His blood, and I knew. But what scared me is when I realized that I knew. And then that was more scary than wondering if it was true or not. Then I began to just be deeply terrified, because I was like, that means that I have to live like that. I mean, if I know it's true, then I have to live that. And I was just filled with this deep terror, because I was like, then that means that I have absolutely no excuse not to do His will and to love each person that I meet with His love. Because if He's giving Himself to me in complete fullness, then I have no excuse not to be able to do what He did, because it's Him that I received, and it just terrified me, and then, that just began that walk of realizing I do believe. So anyway, then, as I was graduating from Notre Dame and began this ministry as a music missionary, everywhere that I went, I would say, because when we receive His presence there, the body of Christ, we are members of His body. We're members of the body of Christ, and that's a real living thing. We're made for heaven, and when we come to before the tabernacle, there's that light there, because we keep vigil with the Lord He's here. It's such a mystery. But it's actually Him, and He's so humble that He chooses to just be silent. He doesn't, it's His body and His blood, but in order not to just terrify us, He doesn't come on as a hunk of flesh on the altar, We would be so scared we definitely wouldn't eat it. But He hides Himself there, and He gives Himself to us, and He reveals Himself as much as we will let Him. So here He is, and whenever we come before a tabernacle, all of the souls of all people in the body of Christ are present there. All the souls that have gone before us, that are in heaven, all the saints and the angels, all of us now are present in His body, in the body of Christ. It's this incredible mystery. And when we go to Mass and we receive the Eucharist, it's this incredible, mind-boggling thing that not only does Jesus give Himself to us in the Eucharist, but that we receive each other. I mean, as members of His body, in the body of Christ, that we're all there with Him. And I began to say to people, wherever I went, I would say, well, I'll see you in the Eucharist. And I would cry saying goodbye to people. I'd meet these beautiful people everywhere I went. I fell in love with people every single place that I went. And I'd be so sad to leave them, I'd be like, I don't know if I'll see you again. And it's in this lifetime, and it's but we're made for heaven. We're living, we're destined for that. And God is so gracious to us that He doesn't just make us wait until then to be face to face with Him, to receive Him, to know Him, and to be with each other. It's there's not a separation. Like when we come to Mass and we receive him there, it's like that's already happening. It's like this living glimpse, that moment of it. It's really actually happening then. We're already united in him. And so, so this song is the last I'm going to do before like a final prayer at the end for Our Lady. But this is the most important thing. This is what I want to say to each of you, and this is what, and this is like my consolation. This is my joy and my consolation for the step now when I go, because it's really scary to me, because I know that I'll be able to talk to my family on the phone, but I won't ever be able to talk to anyone else on the phone anymore. That's what I'm giving for Jesus. That's what he's asking me. So I'll only be speaking with him. And on the phone. Well, yeah. No cell phone. But I won't be able to speak with you on the phone anymore, or email, or any of that kind of thing. And that's really scary to me. And because I'll really miss hearing people's voices and everything. But I know it's this amazing joy to me, because I am going to be with you for like 5 hours a day when I'm praying with the Blessed Sacrament, every day, all day long. I'm going to be with each of you, not only with each of you, but like with all the souls in like the whole world, and all the souls in heaven, and like with Uncle Bojo and like everybody. And I'll be with all of you in the Eucharist. And then when I receive his body at Mass, his body and his blood, then we'll be united with each other. And like that happens for each of us when we go to Mass. And that we actually start becoming each other, you know, and strengthening one another in him. And that's so amazing. It just blows my mind. And so it was like amazing to me, because I've always been saying people see you in the Eucharist. And then now, all of a sudden, like these past few months, I realized, like, that's what it will be for my life now. And I know it's true. And if it weren't true, it would be so insane. It would be like, why would I do this, you know? But I know it's true. I know it with my whole being. And I believe it, and I know it. And I want every soul in the whole world. I know there are some of you who are not Catholic who are here. I want the whole world to know that it's him there in the Eucharist, that it's him, because that's the most amazing gift that God's given us, that he didn't just come 2,000 years ago, and then he left, and then we have to like wait. He like lets us be with him now every day, even closer than like, as close as Mary was, even closer than, I'm sorry, even closer than the apostles. They just got to sit by him. But we get to, he comes inside of us. And he makes his home in us, and like he feeds us, and it's really him. And I want the whole world to know that. And I wish that every single person in the whole world, and every Christian and everyone, I wish they would all know that and know him there, and that we'd all be united in him, in the Eucharist, and that we would be able to receive him. That's what I want. I want the whole world to know that. And so that's my prayer, and that's what I'll be praying for with my whole life. And that's where I'll see you every day, and I'll speak with you, and we'll be so close. And when I miss you, I'll go and be with you there. And I invite you to know him there and spend time with him. And because he does speak to each one of us, he really is there, and it's really him, and he really wants to say something to you, and we don't believe that. So we don't even go listen, but this spending time with him in the Eucharist, that was how everything changed in my life. And so that's the last thing that I want to say. If there's anything that I would want to say, it's to know him there. And that I'll see you there every day in Mass, and then all the hours before the Blessed Sacrament in the chapel.